Hello, everyone, and welcome into the WST Postgame reaction live from Canada Life Center. As you can see, as the Winnipeg Jets just wrapped up a 5-2 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets. In a moment, I'm going to be joined by Michael Remis, and together we're going to break this game down. It was the first of a 3-game homestand for the Jets, taking on a team from the Eastern Conference, the Blue Jackets, who played the night before and didn't get into Winnipeg till almost 2 a.m. the night before. The Jets, coming off of that long road trip, needed to get off on the right foot, and they did with a big 5-2 win. Let's bring him in. Michael Remis, how are you doing tonight? And what is your kind of initial takeaway from this game? I mean, I was here. How did it look on TV?
Yeah, feeling good, Connor. Nice to watch a Jets game that doesn't start at 9 p.m. local time here. Returning home, you forgot that they played games at Canada Life Center, but this was a game coming in where Columbus played yesterday, as you mentioned, arrived late, and they needed to come in and take care of business, and the Jets came out tonight and did exactly what they needed to win. They had control of most of the game, and I thought they controlled a lot of the first period. I was just thinking, hey, this period was pretty good, but could use a few more goals. And then Miles Wood tied the game, but they held steady. Everyone played well. It was nice to see Morgan Barron come back, and you really had, I thought, the four lines going. And this was our first look at, what a almost fully healthy, Hayden Fleury, he's currently injured, but this is pretty much all the guys waiting to come back. Perfetti, Sandberg, Barron, Lowry, everyone's back in the fold, and this was a pretty solid team game, and they did what you need to do against the Columbus Blue Jackets on a Tuesday, took care of business. Eric Comrie, very solid as well, made some big saves. A lot to like from this one.
Yeah, it was a big matchup, Remis, between a team that was coming off of a long road trip and playing their first home game and a team that had a back-to-back the night before and traveled. Those are two, often used adages from coaches that are often used as excuses if teams play bad in those games, but the Jets did not play bad on this night. Played a very strong game and a 5-2 win. Like you said, Eric Comrie got the start, and he made 20 of 22 saves. I think where I want to start this post-game reaction, the place I want to start, Remis, is with Mark Scheifele, who the second the game started became the Winnipeg Jets franchise leader in games played, 898. He's going to hit 902 games. He had an incredible game, 3 assists in this one of which was a beautiful pass to Josh Morrissey to give the Jets a 2-1 lead. What did you think of Scheifele's performance, and how big of accomplishment is that? He's hit a ton of milestones this year, Remis, but to become the franchise's all-time leader in games played, pretty cool from the first ever draft pick in Jets 2.0 history.
It's amazing how this has worked out for Mark Scheifele, being the first ever draft pick, and it's taking a couple years to establish himself as a regular NHLer and as a star, and for him to come all this way to be, the all-time leading point scorer for the franchise, to become the all-time games played leader. It's almost like a storybook thing where you don't see that often. Draft picks, they don't always work out this perfectly. And you have, the two guys, three tonight, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey, all drafted by the organization, all long time. And, right now, Scheifele, Connor will be career Jets. Morrissey, I'm sure they'll end up signing him after this contract is over. But it's really, really impressive. And 898 games played. Scott Harneal hinted they'll probably be celebrating 900 in 2 games. That is on Sunday. So just a great game for Mark Scheifele. And, you think of him as a goal scorer, he's a passer. He can certainly do both, and had some pretty nice setups tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you brought up that it was Morgan Barron's first game of the season. It was nice to see him back in the lineup after missing the entirety of that road trip, all 6 games. This was the first time this season that the Winnipeg Jets had all 4 centers dressed and in their lineup: Scheifele, Taves, Lowry, and Barron down the middle. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they played maybe their best game at 5-on-5 in a long time that I can remember. They in the past number of weeks, they haven't dominated at 5-on-5, and I wouldn't even call this game really a domination at 5-on-5, but they were clearly the better team. And I think having all 4 of those centers is really going to help that going forward. And you go all the way back to the first goal of this game. Adam Lowry gets his first goal of the season. I thought he played great in this game, Remis, and I just think it's such a big advantage. Gardner was asked about it this morning as well, how big of an advantage it is to have all four of those guys up and running and ready to go. And when they have a game like this where Scheifele has 3 assists and is dropping dimes all over the place, Lowry scores a goal, Barron looks speedy on the fourth line, it just goes to show how good this center depth can really be if all of these players are healthy and ready to go. And I know this was just the first game, but Carolina on Friday is going to be a big test. They're a good team, one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. That's going to be a much bigger test for this center group, but I thought it was a solid first step forward. How did you see it, Remis, with the first game with all 4 centers healthy?
Yeah, and Morgan Barron, before he got injured, I don't know if you can say a breakout season, but he was performing above what we've seen. He was scoring points when he wasn't getting the big minutes, and I think his speed was missed. And as the road trip went on, you started to realize more and more. I really liked what his presence brought to the fourth line. You had that speed, and you had Gus Nyquist and Tanner Pearson, veteran players who scored in the league. I thought it was a really nice mix. And you look at the ice time tonight, I mean, one of the more even distributions. You've seen Tanner Pearson the low with 11:37, Barron 13:15, and Nyquist 12:18. And you saw Nyquist on that power play, the Pionk goal. I thought you saw his passing on there, and Tanner Pearson, he had some scoring chances as well. So I thought the bottom 2 lines, you mentioned the Lowry line scoring. I thought that fourth line had an impact. While it was the Scheifele line that scored the 3 goals there at 5-on-5. You hope that now that you have all the lines going, you're going to see some of that secondary scoring that was hurting them on this road trip, where they were not scoring goals. So on that Adam Lowry goal is just a really nice passing play from everyone. He found the area in the middle of the ice where he was all alone, put the puck in the net, and dropped to one knee and celebrated. I hadn't seen, it was his first goal this season. It reminded me of I don't think he scored in the Dallas series, but it was.
He did. So
he did.
This was an asking point in the press box here today. Was that his first goal since the Game 7 OT winner?
Yeah.
And it wasn't. He scored in Game 2 here against Dallas. Okay. The Jets won 4-0 that night, but second last.
He dropped to one knee on that end of the ice, and I was like, man, giving major flashbacks. As you said, we hadn't seen him score a goal this season, so first one for him. And I think for a guy like him, he's coming off surgery. You're going to see improvement game after game.
Absolutely. And you brought up the time on ice distribution. That's something I've asked Scott Neal about throughout this season. I've asked him a few times on a few occasions after games like this. And this game, I actually didn't get a chance to ask him. Maybe I'll ask him at practice tomorrow. But this was one of the more even games that I've seen. And when you see a guy like Mark Scheifele only playing 17 minutes and 41 seconds, usually he's up in the 19 to 20s range. If the Jets were trailing in this game, he probably would have been up in the 20-21 minute range. 17 minutes, 19 shifts. Jonathan Toews 17 and a half, 21 shifts. Adam Lowry 12 minutes and 44 seconds, 16 shifts. And Morgan Barron, the last center, 13 minutes and 15 seconds, 17 shifts. So pretty even all the way up and down the lineup for the Winnipeg Jets. And again, in a game where you're playing well at 5-on-5, you have all 4 lines rolling. You don't need to play Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor 20 minutes. You can roll those guys. And I thought they did a good job of that. They also did kind of roll the pairings on the back end as well, Remis, where, the low was Logan Stanley at 17:48 in some of the games where he's sheltered a little bit more, or excuse me, the low was Luke Shen 16:25, second lowest Stanley 17:48, and Josh Morrissey, the time on ice leader on the back end, 22-14. But in some of the games where maybe they're on the road, maybe they want to shelter that third pairing a little bit more, you'll see him in the 13 to 14 minute range. Going into the third period, Dylan Sandberg was the lowest time on ice defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets. So they were rolling 4 lines of 5-on-5. There wasn't too many penalties in this game either. And I think with this team fully healthy, that's just another thing that Scott Neal can do, is roll 4 lines. And again, if they're going to play this way at 5-on-5, there's no way for him not to roll all 4 lines. What did you think in that regard, Remis, with the time on ice distribution and how everyone played at 5-on-5, getting all those minutes?
Yeah, it seemed like they were in control the whole game, and everyone was going, so they let it go. And Luke Shen was on the broadcast with Kevin in one of the intermissions and just mentioned how, hey, he knows that he hasn't played his best this season and certainly has struggled at times, but he had one of his better games tonight and was rewarded with the ice time. The one part stood out to me was before the Pionk goal, that power play 2 had been out for, I don't know, 20 to 30 seconds. And I thought, okay, time to get the big guns out with an offensive zone draw. But Scott Arniel went with power play 2, who I thought has looked good with Nyquist healthy, on that unit. And they were rewarded with a goal. Neal Pionk, his first of the season. And we kind of joked how since Sambra came back, Neal Pionk was going to start, putting up points. Well, he has. He's been playing. His play has really picked up, and I can't even give Sandberg credit there because he's not on the power play. And Sandberg was actually one of the two, him and DeMello, the only two defensemen to not record a point on this night. But the team was going. It's not going to happen like this every game, where you're just in control and you get the first goal and can roll it into a win. But it was definitely well managed. And I just want to say again, I was definitely surprised that he let power play 2. That's a classic. Okay, put out power play 1, give them their 90 seconds and let them go. Not a lot of power plays on the night. Columbus went 0 for 1 on their opportunities, and the Jets went 1 for 2, and it was a big one from Pionk.
Absolutely. And it was a blast. Nice screen in front as well from Jonathan Taves. But the two goals I want to talk about, Remis, I think the first one I want to talk about is Kyle Connor's. Just an unbelievable goal. Kind of sidesteps a defenseman. Looks like he might be going around the net and then banks it off the mask of Elvis Merzlikins and in. Murat Atesh from The Athletic up here, tweeted out that it reminded him of the Dustin Byfuglien goal in the 2019 playoff series against the St. Louis Blues. Very astute observation from him. That reminded me of the goal as well, of the Byfuglien goal. Just a nasty goal from Kyle Connor. And then you look earlier in the game, one of Mark Scheifele's 3 assists, an unbelievable pass to Josh Morrissey, who just, the way Kyle Connor put it, all Morrissey had to do was have a firm stick back door, and he tapped that puck in. Mark Scheifele coming over the blue line. We know how good he is at protecting the puck, at finding players through seams and all of those things. I didn't think he was going to throw this pass back door. I didn't think Josh Morrissey was open. I would argue Josh Morrissey wasn't open, but Mark Scheifele found a way. And yeah, here it is with the goal visualizer. Mark Scheifele doing what he does best, entering the zone with his head up, looking for options, and Josh Morrissey sprinting to the back door, puts his stick on the ice, and it's a tap-in goal. And Remis, I thought this and the Kyle Connor goal were the 2 nicest goals of the night for the Winnipeg Jets on a night where there weren't chaotic goals. There were a lot of nice goals to choose from, if you want to put it that way. But Mark Scheifele, incredible passer, and that was on full display on that goal specifically.
What, you're not going to give credit to Stan's 91
Clapper? Yes, of course.
What I have it written down, they had in the broadcast, 91.1 mile an hour clapper on a draw pass from Mark Scheifele. They're changing lines. He gets over the blue line, gives a nice draw pass, draws the defenseman towards him, and lets it rip. So I like that one, but the Kyle Connor one, I'll agree with Murat. The first thing I thought of was the Byfuglien off Binnington's mask, and this wasn't quite off Merzlikins' back mask. It was off his back, and it was, I don't know how you think to do that. And he scored another goal in tight like that earlier this year against Chicago, where he kind of fakes that he's going to go around the net, and maybe the goalie breaks a little, and they don't need much. He's such a good shooter, and he put it up there. So what a beautiful goal by Kyle Connor. That's one that not many players would even think of doing.
Absolutely. You brought up Logan Stanley. That's his 3rd goal of the season, Remis. He's got 6 assists as well, so 9 points through 19 games. He's on pace for 12 goals. An offensive breakout in, year 9 for Logan Stanley with his 3rd goal. His previous career high was 1, so he's tripled his previous career high already through, 19 games, I believe, for the Winnipeg Jets so far this season. And yeah, a really nice goal from him as well. Unscreened shot. Elvis Merzlikins had all of Logan Stanley's slap shot to look at, and he just blew it right by him past the glove side. Nice. That was another one of Mark Scheifele's 3 assists on the night. And that was really cruise control for the Winnipeg Jets. Here it is. Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor making sure they're not offside. Logan Stanley gets room to step in and uses his 6'7" frame to step into a shot and 91.1 miles an hour. Like you said, Remis blows it right by Elvis Merzlikins. And that was really, if there was a dagger in this game, maybe this was it. But like you said, it felt like the Jets were really in control for most of this night. Looking back, I mean, some other standout performances here. Neal Pionk, 2 points. Nino Niederreiter with 2 points as well. Kyle Connor with 2 points. Mark Scheifele with 3 assists. We'd mentioned many times. Josh Morrissey, 2 points. Adam Lowry gets his first of the season. And Gustav Nyquist gets the primary assist on Neal Pionk's goal as well. The Jets are going to take on the Carolina Hurricanes on Friday. But before we do that, we have to get to our hardest working Jet and standout stat of the game, Remis. So I'll let you go first on this one. Who's your hardest working Jet from the Winnipeg Jets 5-2 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets?
Yeah, we mentioned this already, but I have to give credit to Luke Schenn if we're going to, dog on him when he's had a rough game. And, there's been times this year where doing simple hockey plays has looked hard for him. But, he was awarded with 16:25 ice time, had the assist on the Stanley goal. And the Schenn-Stan pairing, excellent tonight. 19 shot attempts for, 11 against, expected goals, 78.9% expected goal share. So that's according to Money Puck. So very nice game from the Schenn-Stan pairing. You saw him throw the body around as well. And they need that, that third pair stabilized. If you want to have success. And here, check this out, Connor. The Money Puck expected goal percent on ice expected goal percent graph. There's Schenn, 80%, way above everyone else. So if you can get more games like that, and we'll have to wait and see. This is a Tuesday night against a tired Columbus team, but hey, you can only play what the schedule gives you. And they're not going out like the Edmonton Oilers and losing to Buffalo. So this was a dominant win by the Winnipeg. I don't know if I'll go as far as I was very strong win against the Columbus Blue Jackets.
I'm with you on that.
Half a road trip. I'm not going to go as dominant. It seemed like when they were going to pull away, Columbus did pull back, and Eric Comrie had to make some big saves at the end, especially on the power play. But they were in. It was a game where they were in control. Maybe not dominant might be a bit far, but they were in control. It was their night. It was their game the whole night. They were on it. So Luke Schenn, hardest working Jet.
I like that pick. And if you have a hardest working Jet from tonight's game, drop it in the comment section down below. While you're down there, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Let's YouTube know that we're putting out some great content here at WST. My hardest working Jet from tonight's game is going to be Nino Niederreiter. He had the 2 assists in the game, and that Lowry line, I've said it many times on these post-game reactions. I feel like you could give it to any of those 3 guys on any given night because that's just their identity. That you could argue that's the Winnipeg Jets identity line. But with Niederreiter, Lowry, and Iafallo on the ice with the Samberg-Pionk pairing, it feels like it's a very tall task for the opposition to not only score, but to generate any offense at all. And I think that just goes to show the workmanlike effort that those 5 players in particular put forward every single night, because Scott Neal runs that 5-man unit quite a bit, as well as the Scheifele line with the Morrissey line as a 5-man unit. The Lowry line with the Samberg-Pionk pairing is their defensive shutdown unit, and they do a great job at that. And I think Nino Niederreiter's kind of flown under the radar so far this season. And with Adam Lowry back, we know that those two have chemistry. I thought he was great tonight. I thought he was one of the hardest working Jets. He's my hardest working Jet from tonight's game. Remis, let's get right into our standout stat from the game. There's a lot that we could choose from here. 5-2 win. Analytics looked great, kind of across the board. What's your standout stat from tonight's game with the Jets winning?
Yeah, I'll give an honorary shout out to Mark Scheifele for setting the franchise record. I'll give shout out to Josh Morrissey. He's got 21 points in 19 games. Got off to a bit of a slow start. I had to double check that after they mentioned that on the broadcast here. But how about the defense tonight? This is the stat for me. 3 goals from the defense. Pionk, Morrissey, Stan. And I'll go one even further. Only 2 defensemen didn't record a point, as Schenn had the assist as well. Samberg and DeMello, I mean, not exactly known for their point scoring, although neither is Shannon. I guess you mentioned Stan on pace for 12 goals this season. Is that accurate? The guy who scored 2 goals in a playoff game one time, but had never had
correct.
never had a regular more than one in a regular season. Pretty impressive stuff. So credit to the defense tonight. We talked about their even ice time and how well have they played, and kind of kept it easy for Eric Comrie.
Yep, I like that stat. And since Bonus took over and it's carried through with Arneal, they've put such an emphasis on offense from the back end. And this was one of those games. Arneal even mentioned it after the game that Columbus is the number one team for defenseman goals in the NHL. So to do it against Columbus was huge. And yeah, Logan Stanley with the bomb, Neal Pionk with the bomb, Josh Morrissey with the tap in were the 3 goals from the back end. My standout stat isn't just from tonight's game, but he did score tonight. My standout stat is that Adam Lowry in 7 games so far this season has yet to be on the ice for a 5-on-5 goal against. I brought up how that Arneal likes to run that 5-man shutdown unit, Lowry line with the Samberg and Pionk pairing, and they're so great at shutting down the opposition's best players, especially here at Canada Life Center on home ice where they control the matchups. But Adam Lowry, Selke level defense kind of year in and year out. It's kind of what we've become accustomed to here with Adam Lowry. And so far through 7 games, the goal share with him on the ice, 4-0 in the Winnipeg Jets' favor. So he hasn't been on the ice for a 5-on-5 goal against. He's shutting down the opposition's best players. He's even chipping in goals himself and got his first of the season tonight. Great to see him get on the board. Maybe a player that goes underrated outside of Winnipeg for sure, but maybe even in his own market for his defensive ability. 0 5-on-5 goals against so far this season in 7 games for Adam Lowry. That's my standout stat from tonight's game. Remis, before we go, we've got a big game on Friday. The Winnipeg Jets are going to welcome the Carolina Hurricanes to town. It's our second game of the season for the Winnipeg Sports Talk ticket pack. What are you going to be watching for? Obviously, Nikolai Ehlers in red and white Carolina on the other side. But what else are you going to be watching for, maybe from a Jets perspective, as we kick things around with other WST listeners in Section 316 and take in the Jets and Canes on Friday night?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be getting a nice look at Nikolai Ehlers and trying to get used to seeing him in a Carolina jersey. Started the season on the top line, still getting top power play minutes, but he's found a nice home on line 2 with Logan Stankoven and Jackson Blake, 2 younger players. So I can't wait to see how he fits in there. Their defense has been very strong as well. Keandre Miller, nice offseason acquisition for them. Kochetkov healthy. They've been getting some goaltending. So Carolina, very strong team. Going to be a bit of a tougher one, Connor, Friday for the Jets than it was tonight against Columbus on the second half of back-to-back. I'm curious what the Jets are going to do with this fourth line. Arneal mentioned his possible line change, Cole Koepke. They said he's a player. They're going to have to get him in at some point. Will it be on Friday? Morgan Barron, looking forward to seeing him. And I'd like to see that bottom 6 continue to go, and they're going to have to get some secondary scoring. They got 3 tonight from that top line. Somehow Gabriel Velarde, did not get a point on any of those, which is a bit of a surprise to me. But I think that secondary scoring, Cole Perfetti as well. They're going to need something from those lines if they want to win. You can't rely on that top line all the time. So that's what I'm going to look for on Friday. And I can't wait to see these guys in person for what should be a great match. Great night out at the WST ticket pack. It is sold out right now. You can get tickets. So there's some on Ticketmaster, Fans First, of course. So looking forward to seeing everyone out there. Come say hi. Section 316.
That'll be awesome. Very fitting of you, Remis, to be watching for secondary scoring while Nikolai Ehlers is in town for the Carolina Hurricanes. Very, very fitting.
Man.
Nicely done. Nicely done. That was good.
Was not that was not intentional, but yeah, I could see. Yeah, that's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you got to get used to Ehlers not being here, and you got to get used to, maybe a lack of secondary scoring for the Winnipeg Jets. Very fitting. Very fitting, I think.
He was a provider of the secondary scoring on line 2 for so long, and searching for who's going to do that. Cole Perfetti, coming back from injury, you're expecting a big breakout season from him. Haven't seen that so far, but he just came back from an ankle injury, so I'm not. For sure, we'll have to evaluate as the season goes along.
For sure. And I don't mean to cause a stir, but Nikolai Ehlers' average time on ice per game with the Carolina Hurricanes, 16:11. With the Winnipeg Jets last year, it was 15:48. So he's got an extra 20 seconds a night so far this season with the Carolina Hurricanes. I know that was a big discussion point all the time here in Winnipeg was his ice time. Not that much higher, at least to start this season with the Carolina Hurricanes. But again, it has only been 19 games in Carolina as opposed to, 674 in Winnipeg. So I'm going to be watching for Nikolai Ehlers. That should be a fantastic game. Winnipeg Jets with a good opportunity here to kind of announce that they're back. A quality 5-on-5 win against the Carolina Hurricanes would be a massive step forward in that. They've been kind of up and down so far this season, coming off of that long road trip where they weren't at their best, 2-4, but they're healthy now. They've got a good opponent coming in Friday night, and I'm going to be super pumped for that one. I think it's going to be Liz and I covering you right here on the WST postgame reaction after that one. We'll have all the Nikolai Ehlers discourse. We'll have all of our reaction from that game. So hit the notification bell so you don't miss that video when it comes out late Friday night after the Jets take on the Hurricanes right here at Canada Life Center. For Michael Remis, I'm Connor Hrabchak. Thank you for watching this episode of the WST postgame reaction. Tune in for more reaction to this Jets game tomorrow, 1 o'clock Wednesday. Huston Remis will have you covered, and we'll have you covered right here on the WST postgame reaction Friday night after the Jets take on the Hurricanes. Take care.